everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a first impressions on the new L'Oreal Infallible Total Coverage Foundation. Now I have it in the shade 302 Creamy Natural, and I do have to admit that trying to match your color is really difficult. The reason I say that is because the colors are painted on to the bottle, so I honestly would not match it that way. It's really hard to pick out your color because they look a lot darker from like where they painted it on than the color actually is. Now if you do look at the bottle, at the very bottom part towards the nozzle, there is no painted color on there. It's like the actual color. I don't encourage you to go ahead and open products in the drugstore, but if there is one in there, try it. Otherwise, you can return products like this if you don't get the right color. My face looks a lot better on camera than it actually is in person because I have a lot of hormonal breakouts, and you guys will see them once I zoom in. I went ahead and I watched a lot of reviews on this before I went ahead just to see kind of how people were thinking. And one thing that I have heard, which I'm really scared to try this now, is that it is very matte, which if you know me, I'm very scared of matte because I have really dry, sensitive skin. However, last night I went ahead and did a sheet mask to hope that maybe I could add a little bit of hydration into my skin. Now, I was hearing that people with oily skin were really liking it, but I also heard a lot of really bad reviews, which is another reason why I was really scared. People who have really oily skin, they're saying, you know what, this is a good foundation for them. But then what I was noticing is that people with oily skin, it was really caking up on them. So I'm thinking, maybe this is a foundation that looks better as you wear it, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm really scared. We're just going to go ahead and apply this. I was debating on how I wanted to go ahead and do this. I was trying to decide, you know, should I treat it as if it is like my everyday foundation? And what I'm going to do is something different that I haven't done, but I've seen other people doing. And that is putting a primer on one half of your face and then leaving the foundation by itself on the other half. So since this is a very drying foundation, I am going to go in with some more hydrating and luminous looking primers. So the two primers that I'm going to be taking are the Maybelline Master Prime Blur and Illuminate and the L'Oreal Magic Lumi. And obviously you guys can see that this adds a lot of luminosity. It's so weird only putting primer on one side of your face. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is really thick. I don't know if you guys can see like how thick that is. It's kind of moussey. Like it's got a moussey texture when I like rub my finger into it. So I'm gonna, oh, this is looking a bit too dark. Oh dear Lord. I think I should have went with the one that was like a shade lighter. I'm hoping that when I like blend this out, it won't look so dark. So I'm going to be taking my Morphe M439 brush, and I was trying to debate on whether I wanted to use a beauty blender or a brush, and I heard a lot of bad reviews about using the beauty blender for it, so I'm just going to go ahead and use a brush. And we are going for a more full coverage look anyways, so I'm just going to go ahead and use a brush anyways. I don't know how I feel about this, guys. I feel like I have to squeeze it so much out because it is so thick. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the brush rather than dotting it on my face because it is thicker. I probably should have thought about that. Like, duh, you're going to have to use... It's going to dry quick. I have some redness, like, just naturally right here. It does feel cooling, which is actually really weird. Like, I just have, like, a weird, like, cooling sensation. Now, it honestly, to be completely honest, like whenever I test the foundation, the way to test it is how it sits on my nose. It does seem to kind of be covering it up, but it's not like, it's not fantastic. One thing I'm noticing is that it does cover up redness really nicely. So this is like just one layer. Skin does look nice. I'd say it has like a demi-matte finish to it. Maybe it is matte. It is so thick, I think it just needs to take a minute to really sink in. Even though this shade is too dark for me, the nice thing about it is that it's not like orange. It's just like, you can tell it's not my shade. I won't be wearing this at school until I get the right color if I end up liking it. I have a dry patch on my skin right here. Can you guys kind of see how the foundation won't cling to it? I feel like I'm talking really weird because I'm trying to like show you guys how this is looking. Alright, so right now I am really debating on whether I want to go ahead and set my face, because I feel like if I do go ahead and set my face is gonna look really cakey. I did go over my face with the beauty blender and I don't really think it did anything. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and set my face because I feel like it may last a little longer if I do go ahead and set my face. So here's my skin. It does look a little airbrushed. I feel like the settings that I have my camera at, I can't really show you how well, but it is definitely a matte finish. I mean, it's not completely matte where it's gonna dry out my face horribly, but you can see that on my chin it did do a decent job of covering up my blemishes. I'm gonna go ahead and finish off my makeup. I know my lighting is getting pretty dark. It is 4:04 in the afternoon. I know it's really late to be doing a foundation, like first impressions, but I do end up staying up late anyways. You do see me, I will have my makeup done and my hair probably straightened. I was gonna curl it, but I just ain't got no time for that, and I have some other videos to go ahead and film. Alright, so I went ahead and applied the rest of my makeup. I'm getting really angry with my lighting. Like I said, to get dark, and I have like my bedroom light on, which has some yellow lighting. You guys can probably see it's just my lighting is the problem. So after my foundation set, I think this foundation really isn't that bad of a match. It's not horrible. One thing that I am noticing, it doesn't look so bad now that I did apply powder. Before I went ahead and applied powder, I noticed that this foundation really accentuated my pores. I am seeing my foundation kind of not caking, but I can definitely see it a little more built up around my nose. My contour and bronzer isn't that like noticeable, but I did notice that it did go ahead and blend out really nice along with my highlighter and my blush. So it does a nice job of covering up, but I am still seeing a little bit of redness here. You can see, especially right here, that it didn't really cover up that breakout. I mean, it's not horrible. It is matte, so it does look a little more cakey than I'm used to, but it does look decent. When I squint my face, which I'll show you in a minute, it really looks dry. Like, do you guys see how dry that looks? Ooh. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this foundation. It says that it is a full coverage weightless feel. It says that the finish is natural. You can wear it up to 24 hours, which obviously it's not going to last 24 hours. And it also says that the coverage is high and the texture is air light. So I will probably check back in about an hour or two. I'm super duper hungry, so probably after I eat I will come back in and tell you guys how it is working. Alright everyone, so I am back. It is 6:30 p.m. and I've had this foundation on for a couple hours. You can see I went ahead and removed my liquid lipstick, and then I did go ahead and put some foundation around my mouth to conceal the redness from the liquid lip. As I look into the mirror, I do have to agree with the statement that I made earlier, that this is a foundation that would most likely look better as you wear it. It isn't looking as powdery or cakey. Problems that I'm noticing, I mean, obviously it still does kind of accentuate my pores. It did not cling onto that dry patch very well, which I kind of already expected, and I'm noticing that there is a little bit of redness kind of showing through, like especially up here on my forehead where I have a blemish, which kind of sucks, but overall it did even out the skin tone. Usually whenever I test a new foundation, I compare it to the foundation I wore before it, and I determine whether I like it more or not, how much longer it lasts, and I can kind of guess from that. Overall, I don't hate it, but I'm not in love with it, obviously, so I guess we'll just have to see how it lasts, how my blush and all that's gonna look by the end of the night. I'm gonna try and check in maybe in a couple hours. Alright everyone, so I am back. It is about 8:30 at night, about 2 hours later. So I did go ahead and go look in the mirror up close about 2 hours ago after I shut the camera off, and my skin did look really good. But you guys can obviously see my makeup is looking pretty, it's not cute, and you can see that on my chin the makeup has pretty much worn off of my chin and these spots on my forehead. And another thing that I am noticing is that my chin is so cracked. However, there is still a decent amount of coverage everywhere else besides the spots where I have blemishes. Now, usually I don't have this big and red of blemishes, but since they are hormonal, they are a little bit bigger than usual. I can also see that it's kind of breaking up on my nose, but it's not bad. Around my nose, it is still clumping a little bit around this area. I just wish I didn't have so much texture here. Like, you guys can really see my texture right here. Sorry if I sound so like, man, I'm so tired and I want to wash and take off my lashes. So I was going to go ahead and check in right before I go to bed, and I'm just going to decide not to. I'm pretty much going to be giving my final thoughts right now, and the reason why is, like, I know I've only worn it for 6 hours, but this is pretty much how my makeup always looks after 6 hours. First off, what I found worked the best. I mean, I didn't really tell you guys which side looked better, like the primed one or the non-primer. If I did say like one looked better, it'd definitely be the one with the primer. Like, just my makeup, like the blush and the highlight, you guys, I don't know how well you guys can see, but there's just a little bit of a sheen there. I would definitely recommend using a primer. If you are someone who has dry skin like me, you are going to want to prime and have a very moisturizing primer. Now, I would also suggest using a moisturizer. I'm kind of trying to cut moisturizer out of my skincare routine, but I did find a really good moisturizer that I really like, but I need to repurchase it, so I don't have it. So I've been using serums, but using a good primer is really going to help if you have any skin type. If you are someone with dry skin, you're going to want to hydrate, you're going to moisturize, you're going to want to put on a Lumi primer. Also, I found best that it does work to use a brush. I wouldn't use a beauty blender just because it is so thick. It's going to really accentuate your pores if you just use the beauty blender. And also what you need to do is you need to work fast with it. You guys kind of saw that I went ahead and just dotted it into the skin, and I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and blend it out. And when I put it onto my face, it didn't feel like it was really going to move. So I would totally suggest maybe squirting a little bit onto your brush like this, like squirt it, and then go ahead and go into your skin and blend it out. Because what I found is that where I placed it and where I kind of rubbed it in, there was like that line there, and I had to go in and blend it out. If you're someone who has really dry skin, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're someone who has like just dry, like kind of normal skin, I maybe would recommend it. I don't think you're gonna love it because it's just drying. Like, I just feel like I want to itch my skin because it's so dry. So remember, I do have like really dry, sensitive skin, pretty flaky during the winter. It's really cold where I live too. I feel like maybe I would like this a lot more maybe during the summer. Overall, I think it is a decent foundation, but it's not amazing. So if you are someone who has dry skin, I wouldn't pick it up. It's $12.99. It's a little more expensive. If you have oily skin, I would definitely even say, like, use a mattifying primer. It's going to be really drying at first, but it's going to really help throughout the day because it is one of those foundations that looks better as you wear it. Because when I first put it on, I was like, holy smokes, I look like a dry desert. This was my best friend, and I forgot to mention this. This is the Mario Badescu facial spray with aloe, blah, 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 rose water. This really helped making it not so powdery and not look cakey. Some cons. There's kind of a lot. You go through a lot of product. I mean, I squeezed out a decent amount 3 times just to cover my face. It is really hard to go ahead and match your skin color because they do go ahead and paint on the outside, and it's nowhere close to even being the same color as it is in the tube. Those are all of my thoughts on the new L'Oreal Total Coverage Foundation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that it was a little helpful for you guys. Let me know if you guys tried out this foundation, and let me know what you guys think. And also let me know if you guys had a hard time trying to pick out your shade. I wish they'd come out with more shades because there was only about like 6 or 8 shades, which really sucks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit the like button down below, and do not forget to go ahead and hit the little bell by the subscribe button and the subscribe button to be notified when I post new videos. I love you all so much, and I will see you guys in my next video.